Today I'm going to be talking about problem solving. I believe problem solving is a very important thing to think about sometimes because it's happening all around us and we do it a lot more than we think we do. And it ranges all the way from trying to solve the problem of how to flip an omelet correctly to send a rocket to the moon. I know that's kind of a big difference, but you get my point. It's happening all around us. And so I think it's worth the time to just kind of sit and think about it for a minute. So that's what I'm going to be doing right here is talking through my thoughts and what I've learned about problem solving over the years. And to best show it, I chose to show some footage of me doing bouldering. Bouldering, in my opinion, is one of the sports that has some of the most problem solving of all the sports, and I'll explain why as the video goes on. But if you don't know what bouldering is, it is rock climbing, but you don't have a rope because you never get too far off the ground. You just, if you fall, you hit mats. And instead of just pure strength, bouldering has a lot of what you'd call problems, which is just tricky holds. You gotta hold them the right way to be able to advance and get to the final hold. So I thought it would be the perfect thing to show while I'm talking about problem solving. The first thing I want to talk about is failure. And failure is something that we try to avoid, and it has a bad stigma to it, which that makes sense because failure is, I mean, the definition, not succeeding, but it's become something to where you just never want to fail. And I think that's actually not good for us. If you've noticed, I'm not just including the clips of me succeeding at the route, I'm including a bunch of the clips of me failing at the route. And I think it shows it very well. And like I said, bouldering is a perfect example because you're not going to make it first try every route. It's just, you're not going to do it. You have to try it. And you have to do it multiple times to learn what does and doesn't work. And that's what you have to do in life, I believe, is you just have to try stuff and know that it's okay to fail. And even that word fail, a lot of times we use the word fail when I think we could use something else or just change the meaning of fail. Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And he said that as he was talking about the light bulb. And I've always, ever since I've heard it, I've loved that quote. I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. We can use failure in a way that betters us, not a way that just is a proof of our failure. We can use it every time to build off of. Once I took a online engineering class. It was the class by the YouTuber Mark Rober, and that class really helped me to come to this mindset about failure. Because when you're engineering, you go through prototypes, and ever since I was little, I've always wanted to just skip that phase and just make it right to where I make the cool thing or succeed or whatever. But that class helped me to see that you can't reach that stage without first prototyping, seeing what doesn't work, not seeing it as a failure, but just seeing it as a step on the ladder to success, because that's all it is. You're you've you're more forward than you were, not more behind. You're more forward because now you know either what works better or what doesn't work better. I think this stigma around failure has developed a bunch around our culture, around the American culture. And because we, as Americans, we just want to see the end result. We're all about efficiency and results and just doing that and not what's in between. And like I said, I think that hinders us, especially when we don't even try because we're scared to fail. And when we don't even try because we're scared to see, that people will see us fail. And this is another example of why bouldering is a great example of problem solving, is because as you're bouldering, as you're trying to try these holds, some of them small, some of them big, you fall, and you fall a lot of times with a bunch of people around watching you. And that's just part of it. You learn to get used to it because you watch them fall, they watch you fall, you watch them succeed, they watch you succeed. It's just a big loop. But it's really good to know that it's okay for others to see you fail because they fail too. It's not like you're the only one that can't do something. You're all in it together. There it is. We're all in this thing together, trying to figure out problems. And that's why it's so good to surround yourself with people that you know that you can trust to help you solve those problems and that they can trust you. Another thing with bouldering is that's what you do. You sit around and watch someone else try a route, and then you get up there and try that route. And instead of you having to figure out every single thing that doesn't work, you just watch them and they watch you, and you learn from each other's successes and mistakes. There's been so many times that I've been doing that exact thing, sitting around and watching someone else do a route, and they do something that works great that I never would have thought of. And so I try it, and I may get the route first time, or I may do that move and learn that it doesn't quite work for me. Whatever the outcome, it helps so much just to have other people around you and have people that you can work through stuff with. It's just so great. I think this is an important aspect of pretty much any part of life is surround yourself with people and good people at that. It's been scientifically proven numerous times that we need people. Like we need to be around people. And the same for them. They need to be around people as well. We're social creatures. I mean, we hear that term, but it really is true. When we exclude ourselves and try to do everything on our own, not only do we not get the job done as well as we possibly could have, but we also are worse off mentally and in some respects physically because our physical and mental are so closely interconnected. And the same is true for things like problem solving. This is why companies like NASA hire whole teams of people to research or build a certain thing because they're going to get the job done better than just one person. And so as you go through life, I would recommend try to do it with people. Try to find people that you can solve problems with. And on a kind of unrelated note, you might even want to try actual bouldering like I'm doing here. It's so much fun. I know not everyone would enjoy it as much as I do, but I enjoy doing it so much. You try to do it with people, you figure out stuff, and it's not 100% physical. There's a mental element to it where you got to figure out the ways that work and don't work. But I would recommend trying it because it's a lot of fun. As we get to the last couple routes here, another point I want to talk about is how it's good to step back sometimes. If you notice, you'll see here pretty soon that I'm doing this. I filmed this across 2 different days because sometimes it's good to step back from a problem and approach it at a new day in a new way, whatever. Because I think we've all felt it to where we try to just push on and finish something even when we're tired and we don't want to do it, but we know it has to be done. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes stuff has to be done and you just have to do that. You have to push through. But if you reach that point, I think it's good to just step back and look at it in a new way with fresh eyes sometime, maybe the next day, maybe just take a 10-minute break from whatever you're doing. But in bouldering, I've found that really helps. One, you're not as exhausted from climbing all day, but you also, like I said, you have fresh eyes. You might can see it, that you can come at the route from a different angle. And I just think that's a really good thing to do sometimes is to come at it from another angle. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of the clips I have here. Yeah, this is the last route. It was a pretty fun one. It was very sloped, and so you're almost upside down having to figure out how to conserve your strength and everything. But I'll get to what might be one of the more important aspects of problem solving, and that is If you really want it, if you really want the problem solved, keep trying it. There is no better way to guarantee failure at a task than to stop trying. This is one of those things that sometimes I'm good at it and sometimes I'm bad at it, but I know that everyone, but especially me, could benefit from getting better at this, which is just the art of keeping on going. Because when you keep on going, you learn and you learn and you learn, and your odds of actually succeeding at whatever task you're trying go up exponentially. An example of this from my life would be when I hiked the Colorado Trail. This is a little different than problem solving. It's more about just keeping on going and determination. But when you're hiking a long distance trail, it gets rough. It gets really rough. And there's literally nothing else you can do but just keep going. And it's hard. It's hard because your mind starts going through the things that you're missing, and everything in you kind of just wants to stop. But when you keep going and you finally reach the end of whatever you're trying to get to, it is so worth it. It feels so good. So, we're getting to the end. This is the final clip I have. And to summarize problem solving as I see it, like I say, this is not the end all be all, but this is just my thoughts on some matters. So I hope this helped you in some way. I've enjoyed making it, and I would love to hear down the comments what you think about problem solving and some of your experiences through life. But thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.